you ever gone into a store, you have that pre-purchase buzz, that excitement, that anticipation, you buy whatever you wanted to buy, you go home, and then all of a sudden that feeling's gone and it's been replaced with guilt, with buyer's remorse, with regret. It's a really common occurrence. It happens to all of us, and I'm going to talk today about the psychology behind this, why we do it, and how we can stop doing it. My name is Abbie James. I'm a sustainable clothing designer. I am also an environmentalist, and I want to focus today on something called the value gap. The value gap is this gap between what our values are and what we do, what our choices are. In this case, I'm talking about spending. So it's what you find important and what you are actually spending your money on. So if there's a big gap, that means that your values are not aligned with what you're spending your money on. I'll explain my story a bit. I was an ultra spender. Okay, looking back, I feel I would have had something called CBD, compulsive buying disorder. It peaked around the time when my first daughter was just about to be born. I was buying there's already hormones raging anyway, so I just would have been, up and down, but I spent so much money on my would-be daughter's wardrobe. She had more clothes than me. I was going to say she had more clothes than the Kardashians, but I don't think that's possible. Anyway, I didn't think I had a problem. It wasn't until I looked around me and I noticed, my friends don't spend as much money as I do, or rather they don't buy as much stuff as I do. My family doesn't. I didn't feel judged, but I did occasionally receive offhand comments, and I decided to stop spending as much. And I used all my willpower and I stopped for a while. And then I started again. And I stopped and I started. And I just yo-yoed through stopping and starting, stopping and starting. And I felt really bad about myself because I didn't feel like I was in control. And it was really bothering me. And so it wasn't until I looked deep within myself when I realized the spending isn't a problem. The spending is a symptom of the problem, and the problem is that this dopamine, this endorphin rush that I was getting with my spending was filling a void. You see, when in humans, we need things like excitement, love, connection. If we don't have these, we look elsewhere. I was looking in spending. Some people look in screens, in TV. Others look to drugs, alcohol, food. And it wasn't until I really realized this that I was able to heal and make these changes in my life. Now, going back to the value gap, I had never even thought of values. I hadn't thought of what I really felt was important. And so I needed to work on myself. I needed to just work out what my personal values were. And when I looked at that gap of what I felt was important and what my spending habits were, it was up here. It was like off the chart. And I needed to close that gap. And to close that gap, I had to do so much work on myself. Around 16% of people in America, it is actually mainly women, are thought to have compulsive buying disorder. And it's not just a mental health issue, it's not just a financial issue, it's also an environmental issue as well. I don't have to go into the reasons why it is an environmental issue. We all know our spending habits are detrimental to the environment, our overspending. And I go in my blog, which is linked down below, I go into this and I talk about my personal story and how I healed. I talk about the value gap and I talk about CBD, and I do urge you to go and have a look at that blog if you feel this in any way relates to you. If this video has resonated with you, please do like and subscribe to my channel. I will bring you more things like this, and if you do that, if you like my video, I'll know that you're interested. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to connecting with you again.